All right, you guys, it's your girl Sassy Lee. I'm here with the $1 Million Motivation. As we all know, Women's History Month is coming to an end, and I'm super excited to be sitting here with the Director of Operations at Emmis Communications, Mrs. Pat,
Hi.
to me,
Hello.
and Patricia Robinson to you guys.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me here.
No problem. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down with us. I'm super excited because this woman wears many hats. She's not just the Director of Operations. You do many of other things.
Yes.
Public speaking.
Yes.
As well as...
I'm the Executive Director for the Know Your Rights Camp, which is founded by Colin Kaepernick. So we do a lot of amazing community work around the world.
Absolutely. And you do a lot of panels.
Yeah, so I do a lot of public speaking. One of the things that I love the most is the ability to go out and share information and knowledge to young people, to share leadership thought strategies, to help people identify what their inner potential is, and to kind of help them get past some of the barriers that they will need to conquer as they move forth through school as well as in their careers.
Okay. So that's a lot to take in. Just a little bit, but it is a lot. So we're going to dig into that a little bit later. But for right now, of course, we got to start off with the cliche. Where are you from?
Okay, I was born and raised in Brooklyn.
Whoop, whoop. What part?
Downtown Brooklyn, Farragut Projects, which is right next to Fort Greene Project. So that's where I was born and raised.
Wow.
And that's where I kind of got my character and my oomph.
Exactly, because she got a lot of stats. Okay? I guess with you coming from there and you being in HR and you being the Director of Operations, obviously it took a journey from being a girl from Brooklyn to get in there. So I want to know, like, how did you get there?
Yeah, so that's interesting. I did an interview yesterday where it talks about how did you get here? And so I didn't have any aspiration to be in the music business or entertainment business. Actually, fast forward into my 30s, I was kind of going and working in administration, and my goal was to work in nursing, but accounting was kind of my forefront. And one day I was working at a job and paying the bills, and it happened to be at a meat warehouse, which is ridiculous, but it was a meat warehouse, and I was looking for another job, and essentially I started to send out my resume, and I sent it out to an organization where they called me and told me that they did not have a job, and then they called me in for an informational interview, and lo and behold, it was Emmis Communications, which was Hot 97 at the time, 98.7 KISS FM and CD 101.9, and they did not have a job. It was an informational interview, so I then turned the tables to stay in contact with them, hopefully that there would be a job created.
Right.
And I got that job about 6 months later as a business office assistant. I had a lot of work experience and a high school diploma. So I was just really happy to be inside of this building just because it was legacy, music culture, and all of the amazing people that work here. And I thought I kind of knew everything in my 30s. And what was interesting was that within the first year, I had a performance review. And this is what changed the trajectory of my life and my career, is that I had a performance review, which is similar to a report card. And on the performance review, my boss at the time said, hey, everything about 99% of that review was amazing.
Right.
The last line is what changed my life. He says, Patricia is a great asset to this company. However, she does not have a degree. Most people would have been satisfied with the fact that the 99% was good, but to me, I kind of felt like he insulted me to a degree because he put a limitation on me. I went home for a few weeks, I brushed it off. I'm like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And then I just decided that it was important for me to try to take that challenge on. So being 30-something years old with 2 kids and married, I decided to go back to school full-time at night to get that associate's degree. So I was working here 40 hours and going to school about 27 hours in the week. And 2 years later, I was able to get that associate's degree. I came back, I handed that to him, and I said, this is it. Now you can't say that about me anymore. And he said, hey, I'm very proud of you. But then when I looked around the work environment, everybody had bachelor's degrees. So I kind of still wasn't there. So I'm like, you know what? I'm good with the associates. I don't have to. But then I said, no, you need to get on par. So I went back again for 2 years, again at night, probably doing the same amount of hours, 25 to 30 hours a week, plus my 40-hour job, plus being a full-time mom and a full-time wife. And I got the bachelor's degree. So I came back another 2 years and I said, okay, now I'm up to par. Here's what it is. You got it. And he was overwhelmed with it. But then what had happened in those 4 years is that I was actually being educated. You
Right.
know, and so I was growing this sense of confidence, and so now I'm like, well, wait, you can do more than what you think you can do.
Right.
So I decided to challenge myself and do the threshold, and I crossed the line and went back and did my master's that night. So within a matter of 6 years, I went from him telling me that I had a limitation that she would be great if she only had this, to going the full gamut of extending myself out to get this education. And with that became confidence and became education, and what that small job was too small for me now. So I had outgrown that small job, and I found my voice, and I found the way to make sure that I was able to kind of push through in the company where jobs didn't exist.
Right.
But I was more comfortable about stating my value and the things that I was able to do here. So that's kind of like how I got here.
On the $1 Million Motivation, we always ask people, like, what was your biggest struggle? Like, can you tell us about a time you were sleeping on an airbed, or what was your biggest struggle during that time?
Yeah, I mean, it's two things, because, oftentimes, women, we're raising kids is a lot, being in relationships is a lot, and balancing home, right? And just trying to find yourself in your career space. So for me, it was, just really being committed to myself, because if I commit all of me to everyone else and don't take anything to make me better, I'm doing a disservice to my family. I'm doing a disservice to myself. So, it came to a point where in my home, like, they understood that I was trying to push the best me out of me. And that came with me being out of the house. It came with some sacrifice. But, where I was out of the house a lot, when I was in the house, I made up that much more. So, I never missed a beat, and I'm very involved in my children's lives. Even to this day, they're 29 and 22, and I'm even a grandmother to this day. And I know everything that's going on with their careers. I know what's going on with their bank accounts, with their emails, and school. So I'm very much, I know, I balance it all out. And that's just the overall part, is like, we're not limited on the things that we can do. It's just really discipline and focus. And so I think we got to kind of hone down on discipline and focus and not get distracted.
Would you say that you had a good support system?
So I had a good support system. My husband was the support system. I mean, he was the one that had to kind of understand that he had to pick up, all of the things that was there at the house. But I mean, it wasn't golden. I mean, sometimes it's like, what's going on? You at school and you're tired. So, you have to balance those things out.
What advice do you have for the woman who may be in your shoes, but may not have as strong of a support system?
Yeah. So I would say just kind of understand, because we live in a world where people feel like, social media and everything they see, it just feels very rampant. Like, you have to take on everything. You have to be the greatest, this and that. And the reality is that you don't. You have to do one thing well, really, really well at a time. And if you can do one thing good and really master it, you've got that done. Now you move on to something else.
As your role here at Emmis Communications, which, by the way, is the home of Hot 97, WBLS, and WLIB.
Yes.
What would you say your day-to-day, job is? Like, what do you do from the day-to-day?
Yeah, so it's a lot. It's expanded over the years. My core role is Director of Operations, has elevated, but it's core really human resources, and that's really working with all of the people here, making sure that they are good with everything from their, employee relations perspective, benefits, payroll, continuity of workflow, things that are functionable so that they can do their job and that they can go forth and excel in their careers, whether it's, and it could be something as small as like security issues, I manage those things. I also support the Senior Vice President as a right-hand person and have done that for many years. So it's just really being like a core hub. And, one of the things I will add is that for anyone who's in any career, if you've been doing it for a number of years, there's no such thing as I've done this, it's my job. Like, you have to stay kind of viable, and you have to understand that you are not entitled to anything. So every day, after 17 years, I still show up on time at work.
Hello.
And I don't take advantage of that. I show up at 8:30 and I begin work. I don't show up at 8:30, be having breakfast and coffee, and then, no. I take care of whatever I have to take care of, and I respect my space, and I respect the space, because I treat it just like as if it were my own.
Right. And that's already a major key. She's dropping jewels on you guys already. The code of conduct in a work atmosphere.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's a double standard with men and women?
It's interesting. It really varies by industry. I think that, in the entertainment industry and what I've seen here, I wouldn't say it's a double standard per se. I think that women definitely have to work equally as hard. My perspective is that we have to be accountable for what we represent. Right? And we have to take ourselves seriously as women, as men, as career professionals. How do you want to be perceived, and how do you want to be addressed, and how do you want to be treated? Right? And so your overall presentation and how you show up and your level of presence mentally and what you do, from things like showing up to work on time, all of those things play a factor in it. There are always going to be politics in any work environment where there may be cliques and favoritism and things like that. Those kind of things, you can identify them, you can assess them, you can know they are there. They are frustrations. I'm not going to act like they are not. But do they define the way that you operate? That's the true question, right? You may not be able to conquer all of those battles, but you can continue to operate in excellence and identify those pockets of frustration, try to work around them. But at the end of the day, you have to recognize and own in your own self that you are the talent wherever you go. So like these brands and everything are amazing, but I also recognize my own value. That where I go is where it's popping at.
Hello.
The affiliation to amazing brands, that's great because it makes it that much more greater. But the goal is for your talent to overshadow the organization and bring value to the organization, because now the organization is known for hiring amazing people. So it's like the organization is affiliated with us. So it's like an equal thing.
What are 3 big no-nos? For someone in the workspace.
So for me, 3 big no-nos are just, don't assume that because you see a relaxed environment, don't get relaxed so quick. To me, just don't fall right within it. Don't oversell yourself and then come in and then you're something else. Right? Because people can see that. That's number 1. And number 2, big no-nos, I would say, is that, we tend to, in jobs, we get wrapped around politics really quickly. So instead of us coming in and trying to say, okay, you know what, I came here because I wanted to do this job, and to be an expert in your job. The politics are going to be what they are. You'll do your best to maneuver within them, but no-nos are being distracted for why the company hired you. Come in and really show and prove your work ethic, because I think you'll be respected much more, and who knows, there could be a promotion or something, or a career path that elevates faster than what you would have even anticipated or even thought could have happened. Another no-no is just, don't take it so personal. Don't take everything so personal. Like, you're here to do a job. You when you come in, do it with the best intent that you possibly can. And come in, and if you know that you've given your best authentic self and your best authentic effort, and it all falls down and everybody's acting crazy and whatever, go home at night and let it go and go back and repeat.
I'm pretty sure with you working in your field, people find out what you do and they're like, oh, when you hiring, what do you recommend for those people?
So I definitely think that they should follow instructions, because there's nothing worse than somebody, you tell them to follow one instruction and then they in their Facebook Messenger sending you resumes. I'm like, nah, that's my play space. When you meet people, I meet so many people, and I'm open and I talk to people, but it's not always the automatic hookup. It just ain't happening. It ain't happening. There is a procedure that you must follow. Go to the website. First, see if there's a job available. If there's not a job available and you happen to be in contact with the hiring manager, that's fine that you email and say, hey, I met you, just want to stay in contact. But do a nice casual relationship. Don't go so hard. Don't be on IG in the DMs. I mean, that's cool too, because actually I've met a lot of people like that. I met some really cool, talented people. So I don't want to discourage that. But you just have to kind of know, how to balance it. If you apply for a job and it says no phone calls, don't call. People are looking to see that you can follow basic instructions before even letting you in the door. If you can't follow basic instructions, I know people want to be innovative and sharp and show up and do things that'll wow you. I like to wow. Yeah. But sometimes just follow basic instructions.
I think it's amazing that you did say you were from like Farragut Houses and stuff like that. And I do feel like being not just from Brooklyn, but from a certain neighborhood, a lot of times your friends might not understand where you're growing and going to. Did you have an issue with that?
Oh, yeah. I didn't have a lot of friends. I had a lot of people who actually wanted to fight me when I was younger in those areas and stuff like that. But here's the thing, we use this term at-risk kids. Kids ain't at risk. It's the neighborhoods that are at risk because they don't have the resources. I actually think we have a lot of gold sitting in these low-income areas. I was gold. I was sitting there, you know, but it was just the environment that I was growing up in. It's just it lacked resources, and it's what my family could provide for at the time. Unfortunately, we do live in a society where many people succumb to that environment because they're not, strong enough to see any hope, or they're not, self-motivated or have motivating people pouring into them. So I understand that that's a challenge. And most times in my growing up, you had those pockets of people that banded together, and their first course was to always find a negative in things, right? Where my first course was, I'm sitting in a negative. I need to see something positive. Please, positive. I'm looking for you. I'm going to find you. Find you. Come to me, But hey, if you find people that don't identify your areas of growth, I mean, you have to be smart enough to know, is it going to make you feel good to go with those who are not making you feel good and making you advance? Or do you just step out on your own and take that chance? At the end of the day, you got to learn to love yourself. I'm totally cool with being by myself. I'm totally cool with having dinner by myself if I need to, going to the movie.
Me too, I do that.
I like sitting down, just vibing. I'm cool. But a lot of people are not like that. A lot of people do need a lot of people. But just be mindful of the company you keep, because if you're being pulled in a direction where you are saying things just to be a part of something because it feels cool, but inside it's not cool, you're in the wrong space. Evaluate.
I wanted to have a brief trivia with you.
Okay.
Because we're going to stay on theme with the Women's History Month. I'm going to give you some quotes from some powerful black women in the 21st century. Okay. And you have to guess which woman this is. Let me take this
y'all getting ready to do it. I'm going to embarrass y'all because I can't remember what I had to eat yesterday. Okay, let's try it.
Let me take this away from her. I don't want her to see the answers.
Don't judge me.
Okay. All right. So, this one is pretty easy. And I watch your Insta story a lot, so you should know who this person is. But when they go high, we go low.
Yeah, that's probably the only one. Michelle Obama. Okay, that's easy. Got that one.
Michelle Obama. Okay, this quote comes from a famous TV mom. And it goes, you see, I'm not serving Blake, okay? That's the kind of thing that goes on in a restaurant. Now, I'm going to bring him a cup of coffee, just like he brought me a cup of coffee this morning. And that, young man, is what marriage is made of.
Felicia Rashad, maybe? Okay, because it's only a couple of elegant moms that grace the TV.
Oh my gosh. It is not lost on me that at this moment, there are some little girls watching as I become the first black woman to be given this same award. It is an honor. It is an honor, and it is a privilege to share the evening with all of them, and also with the incredible men and women who have inspired me, who challenged me, who sustained me, and made my journey to this stage possible.
That sounds like Oprah Winfrey. All right.
I made this too easy now. This is too easy for you. This one was a no-brainer.
I'm sure I'll get that one wrong.
No, you're going to get it right. We're all going to get it right. I got hot sauce in my bag.
Beyonce. Hey. Okay, all right. See, I'm smarter than you think.
Speaking of powerful black women, were there any women coming up that you looked up to?
I'm still looking up to a lot of amazing women. There was one that worked here. Her name was Toya Beasley. She really inspired me. She was the program director for Kiss FM and just still very relevant in my life today. Maya Angelou, obviously my mother, clearly. I met an incredible woman just last weekend, the first daughter of Malcolm X, Miss Ambassador Shabazz, and I just got off the phone with her, and she's just such a wise woman. And there's just regular, everyday people that I meet that have strength that, maybe their names are not in lights, but just really how do you say, kick-ass, excuse my French, kick-ass women that are doing amazing things. So I've always like kind of drawn on the energy of people who are really about it and understand what it is to engage.
I know you do a lot of panels and public speaking. You have something coming up April 13th.
Correct.
The Sisters, what is it called?
Sisters in Business Expo.
Yeah.
Sisters in Black Business Expo.
Yes. Now, what made you want to get involved in public speaking?
So I used to be an introvert, probably about as early as about 6 years ago here. And being in management, one of our general managers would challenge us. Well, it wasn't a challenge. It was like, either do your job, but maybe you won't have that job, in terms of being at the forefront and being able to deliver information. So that was a challenge for me. So every time we would have to do a presentation, I would like freak out, have panic attacks, and have to go home. I would get sick, like literally sick, thinking about the idea of me standing in front of a group of people. My heart would like about to jump out of my chest.
Wow.
And so I had to get past that, and it took a long time. And then I'm like, you know what? After doing it, if you keep doing it, just like you do anything else, just like we dress up every day, just like we wake up with the will to win, just like we dress up and we want to look great, and you know, we want things in life, the more you keep doing something, the better you will become. And then I realized that, you know what? People are not really caring what I look like. They really are interested in what I have to say. And I started to analyze different speakers and, you know, long-winded speakers and those who got straight to the point and how effective people were. And I said to myself, you know what? You just have to find a point of being effective, because if you're an effective speaker, people want to hear from you.
Right.
If you're long-winded and you're just constantly on repeat and you just want to be on the stage, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, like, please let it be over.
Right.
So then I just accessed, and I realized like your voice is like your greatest tool. It really is.
Right.
It's the one thing that you'll have, and all of this that's happening in your head that you're thinking about and all those things you want to say, it's just a matter of letting it go. So I just felt like, you know, I have so much to offer. I'm doing all these great things. I have so many people that I meet that they are looking up to me. So why not? You know, so I go around, I speak in schools, I speak in panels, anywhere that I'm invited to speak that makes sense, I'll do it.
What were one of the things that you did to transition from being an introvert to being able to speak? Like, did you do things at home to practice?
Yeah, so I practiced. I would sit my family down and practice in front of them. One of the techniques that helped me a lot is that, you know, I would channel into, hey, I really want to be an actress. And if I had to be an actress, I still really want to be an actress. So hopefully this video will go far and reach the right person. I really do want to be an actress in Hollywood. But then also, I would go out to not strange places, but I would go out into like restaurants and shopping malls and supermarkets and strike conversation with strangers, because there was no judgment. Like, they don't know me. Right. So they don't know that they're getting this. Is that the real Pat, or is that her trying to be more? So that's how I would exercise my voice. I would go and say, hi, how are you? And it gave me a chance to utilize my voice. And then I started to kind of like my voice. And I'm like, well, okay, girl. Now, if you just put a little bit of smarts on your words and kind of be effective, you know, and then the more I did it, the more I became good at it.
Right.
And now I love it. You just got to keep doing it. And don't be afraid, like, because at the end of the day, you are going to advocate for yourself in any situation, right? So if you go on a job interview, you have to advocate for yourself. You have to be able to talk about yourself and help people to believe that you are that person and that you are as influential as you're saying you can be, and why. So who's going to tell the story? Who's going to tell it?
Right.
Can I tell your story about you? But I might be able to introduce you.
Right.
Nice. But who's going to tell your story like you would?
Me.
All right, so you take that same passion and energy and you take it and you wrap it up, and then you let that just be what's within you, and you go forth and you deliver.
When it comes to fear, like, I would say I think a lot of people obviously still battle with fear.
Oh, yeah,
I used to have
too.
fear too. Like, even approaching someone for an interview, if it's someone big, it's like, oh my gosh. But then there was a time, and I would never forget this, I interviewed Mona Scott, and she was like ready to go, ready to leave her book signing, and I was like, I gotta do this before she goes. Mm-hmm. I did. She did it, and she was like ready to wrap up, and she's like, you know what, I'll do it. One thing she told me about fear is adrenaline, and you can allow it to either propel you or paralyze you.
That's right. That's correct.
And I was like, is that simple?
It's
so now,
correct.
anytime I talk to someone, I'm like, I'm not paralyzed. I ain't handicapped. So I'm going to use this to propel me.
That's exactly
and so that helps me a lot.
That's
and
awesome.
it's funny how advice like this can help someone out there.
Yeah.
Really, really, really expand. Don't be afraid. Listen, now, I want to go back into the Know Your Rights camp.
Yep.
Which is, you play a major role in it.
Yes.
And what do you do?
So I act as the executive director for the camp. I'm very honored to have that role, and a trusted partner by Colin Kaepernick and Nessa to kind of be like the strategic glue behind the coordination as we go out to different states. So my role primarily is twofold, is to, coordinate and make sure that when we go into different states that we're talking to the right organizations and reaching the right students that could benefit from that. That is a lot of work. Because we go in and we most times don't have relationships in these states.
Right.
So it's just kind of going in there without utilizing his name, because my goal is that I don't want to ever put his name at the forefront as a dangler.
Right.
I need to go into the communities and identify pockets where children are, youth are, and help to influence them and to influence the organizations and schools that there's a resource coming to your town, and it's going to cover these categories, which are financial literacy, health and wellness, technology, law advocacy, community and leadership. And here's why you should come out. You don't know about the program. I can tell you a little bit about it.
Yeah, I know you guys had an event recently.
We just completed our sixth Know Your Rights camp in Baltimore, where we reached over 500 students. It was
amazing.
Incredible. It was incredible. So if you're not following Your Rights Camp, go on IG and follow Your Rights Camp, Know Your Rights Camp.
Yeah, because my next question obviously was, how does someone get involved?
Yeah, it's still work in progress. So I kind of started off as a volunteer just by affiliation, and kind of was able to kind of get involved that way. So we're still working that part out, because we're doing a lot of grassroots groundwork, going in, impacting. But I would just say definitely stay tuned to the social media pockets of it. DM is definitely an option. My email is pat@knowyourrightscamp.com. So if there's any interest, and we're still trying to figure out how to engage, because we have a lot of outreach across the world,
right,
where people want to activate. So we're still building the model. What we do is we pop up in the state, and we primarily will select the location. We don't advertise. We don't put it out to the media. There's no press. We're not interested in that.
Right.
The goal is to come into so most times the states don't know we're there until we're gone, because we've already come in, we've activated, and we're gone. So we do it very low key. It's by invite only. It's a private event, and so we have a one-day camp where the pre-recruiting and all of that stuff is done at least 45 to 60 days prior, and we go on the state and we set up a location. Most of the time we try to do it in a historically black venue,
right,
because we want the students to understand their history and their culture, and we execute. So we have speakers that come from different parts of the world that are specialists, and they come in and we execute this camp, and these kids from the ages of 14 to 18 receive information on finance and health and technology, and there's all of these amazing things that are weaved in between the program, and by the time that they leave, they've had an experience that has changed their lives.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, where do you see the future of this?
Oh, this thing is definitely bursting at the seams, because it's important work. It's not just, we're going in and doing something for fancy. We're actually going in and we're putting real seed in the ground with these students, and we're trying to prepare them so that they can, as Colin says, it not only survive, but we want our generation to thrive. So we're giving them core basics of important categories that they can understand at this age that will be relevant as they move forward. So where do I see it going? Definitely growing. Don't know how it's going to grow. I definitely, it's popping at the seams. I mean, we're getting a lot of outreach from all over the world, so we'll see.
And now with the Know Your Rights campaign and everything going on, with you working close with Colin and the Super Bowl passing, and with certain people like Gladys Knight or Travis Scott performing, how did you feel to have represented us as a black community?
And there's a clear distinction and a line in reference to what we represent as unity and issues of serious nature that affect generations pre-Super Bowl and after Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl is going to come and go, right? But the problems that exist in our community are now. They've been in the past, they're now, and they're likely going to stay there in the future. So for me, it was, I know what side of history I'm on, and I'm very excited to be on this side of history and to even be a part of writing this history with Colin and the team.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there was a great level of disappointment in terms of what I thought the decision making would be there, but you know, people have the right to make their decisions.
Right.
You can't be mad at what they decide to do. You know, what we see them doing is what they choose to do.
Right.
What we're going to do is we're going to keep going forward and doing the right thing in terms of how we view it. And that is the continuance to impact and to change lives and to make sure that our culture and our legacy is preserved as best as possible, and to teach our children what it really means to stick together and not be, you know, overshadowed by lights and things of value in terms of money.
I want to get your interpretation of what you feel it means to be a woman in 2019.
Wow. Yeah, so for me, being a woman in 2019 means identification of self. Like, you know, just owning the fact that you love yourself. Owning that you love fashion, if that's what you love. If you love books, if you love poetry, culture, hair, lashes, whatever it is. Being okay with the fact that you love the space that you're in and not having to explain it or justify it or defend it. Like, it's yours. And if it's something that you love, enjoy it, because it's what makes you very unique. Like, I love fashion, I love hair, I love lashes, I love all of these things. I also love social activism, I also love entertainment, I also love family, I also love, you know, self-awareness and being by myself. I also love uplifting kids. So it's being able to identify and hone in the things that you love and not having to make excuses on why. And that's and having your own space. Like, have your own space and let people identify what's unique about you. I really don't, in this day and age, take into consideration how much people really think about me. I just kind of, I exist and I do what I think is great in my own terms.
You make it look good.
Thank you. So it's doing what you think is great in your own terms. That's the definition for me of what a woman is.
Because it is the $1 million motivation.
Okay.
A motivational quote. Nothing cliche. Nothing that you heard or saw as a meme on Instagram. Just something from Mrs. Pat herself.
Okay. I would just probably say you do not have to apologize for waking up and feeling great about yourself. You do not have to apologize and wake up for feeling terrible about yourself. And you do not have to apologize if you failed somewhere in your life. Because guess what? You are human, you are allowed to make mistakes, and you are allowed to feel terrible on one day and feel great on the other day. But as long as that you can grab yourself and pick yourself up, that's the most important thing to me. So it's okay to go through a myriad of emotions, but just don't lose yourself in the process.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I said that was the last question, but what's on your radio station? High 97 WLIB or WBLS? On the regular.
I do a little mix of things.
Okay.
So in the morning, I do a mix. In the morning, I catch my Steve Harvey morning show while I'm going to the train, WBLS. And then when I get to work, I got to get a little bit of Ebro. And then I tap into the 10 a.m. show just a tad. And then I go back to BLS. And then on Sundays, I got to get my community programming in because that's so important.
Right.
And then on the train, I might do like a little playlist. I ain't going to shout out the avenue, but a little playlist.
Okay, that's a good answer. She got a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
Miss Pat, Patricia Robinson,
Thank you so
guys.
much.
You know what? You guys can probably call her Miss Pat now, right? We got to know her.
Yes.
We got to know.
Follow me on HR Radio Lady. I got some fun stuff going on there.
Yeah, and she has the best memes. All day.
Yes.
Okay. It's
Thank
your girl
you so
Sassy.
much.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's your girl Sassy Ringlead. This is the $1 Million Motivation. What a way to end Women History Month. Bye.